Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be finishing the bizarre modern reality of Sonic the Hedgehog by Super Eyepatch Wolf. Last time around, we got through the normal stuff. The stuff that is just cool backstory, how it was influencing the culture at the time, became the most popular, then kind of fell off because it became the most popular and everything copied it. And now we're on to what I'm just going to more or less believe is the cringe phase. That part where it's like, oh, I'm not even in here and I'm embarrassed. There's a German word that I'm not going to say because I know if I say it, it'll accidentally come out as a slur instead. Because it's German, I don't have enough of a head cold to say it correctly, apparently. I'm not sure if that's a joke or not because there are a few words where it does seem like an actual way to state things. More importantly, though, we're just going to jump right in. It's Super Eyepatch Wolf. I know it's going to be good, but I also know it's going to probably compromise what little sanity I pretend to have. Not going to look too deep into that comment. But again, there's a link below to the original video. Hit it up and let's get started.
Eerie, uncanny works that distorted the very idea of what Sonic even was. And at the epicenter of the
What the...
very idea
I think
of
I've
what
seen the
Sonic
original painting, and
was.
they took a copy of an old painting of, I think it's the Cyclops, and then put Sonic in. I don't know which is weirder. The eyes standing out so much from the rest of it, or the fact that the blue fur kind of fits, and and then there's also the gloves. I just noticed the gloves. People are way too talented for way too many really scary reasons.
And at the epicenter of this
How am I going to cross this? Flying. Sonic's new best buddy.
shift was a webcomic by artist Tyson Hess.
What?
Called Sonic's Big Fat Adventure. But rather than being a loving interpretation of Sonic's world, this was a surreal, satirical take that satirized every part of Sonic.
Okay, I have seen this one piece right here so many times. I didn't even know this was actually from a comic. I thought it was just some random meme people made. Now do it. It's literally so many times in Sonic. It's this one image.
From its characters to its gameplay to even its own fans. And it
The original
blew
character, Do
up.
Not Steal.
It's difficult to state how big this comic was in the late 2000s as the original's been taken down, but an animated version of it on YouTube has amassed nearly 10 million views. The reason I think this comic, as well as the new wave of
This is
distorted
something I
Sonic
could
art,
watch.
resonated with people is because it captured something real. Sonic really was starting to feel like a corrupted, broken image of himself. And this art spoke to that, people now creating fan media to reflect that distorted, broken image.
Wait, this is a VR Sonic that's... Oh, that would be even creepier in VR. Oh no.
And what's really interesting about a lot of this stuff is there's this kind of weird uncanniness to it.
I have no idea what
It's
I'm
hard
looking
to
at.
tell what's a genuine loving piece of fan fiction, what's parody, and what's outright mockery of Sonic and his fans. And possibly the strangest and most bizarre instance of this is the story of Tails Gets Trolled.
Wait, all of these were not the most bizarre? Of course it's not. We are reaching dangerous levels of Garfield here, guys. Dangerous levels.
On February 18th, 2012, a post
Dunning-Kruger
appeared on
effect.
Second Awful Forums titled Sonic and Friends Get Trolled. The post linked to a DeviantArt comic where a misshapen Tails the Fox was harassed by internet trolls, before later returning with Shadow and violently murdering them.
The
There
fuck?
was something so strange and angry about this comic.
Okay.
It had distorted, misshapen artwork. Its characters spoke in rambling streams of slurs and expletives, riddled with spelling and grammatical errors. Some panels were so bizarrely hilarious that they became memes in their own right, and Something Awful posters were merciless, descending on the comic and tearing it apart.
Why? I mean, I get the internet and Reddit is a thing, but where's this 4chan? Yeah, I don't know. But why would people... It's because it's a fandom and the people inside of it who are consistently identifying with it are hyper fans who will fixate. That's why. It's a good thing I've never done anything that I've hyper fixated on. Please ignore everything in the background. Thank you.
criticizing everything from the artwork to the strange way the characters spoke, some even showing concern
And it looks
over
like it
the
was done by a
mental state of
12-year-old
its
who's
author,
decent at art,
Laserbot.
but 12.
But then slowly,
And has no idea how to write.
something really weird started to happen.
What?
Tails Gets Trolled started to get good. Like,
What?
really, really good. There was character development, there were plot twists, there was a genuine narrative with themes forming. And what's crazy is you can see the tone of the forums begin to change as the story goes on, as people in disbelief begin to earnestly enjoy the story.
So we're literally watching what seems like someone who has no idea what the hell's going on learn their trade. Honestly, that part, I love those kind of stories, but I probably couldn't get into this just because fighting trolls, neat. I would never have caught to the initial premise. That said, the fact that they set up something intentionally to be trolled and to be mocked, and then are just pushing through it at all, some people have a thicker skin than I do. Granted, my skin is... I don't actually know how thick it is, mostly because I don't want to stab myself. That seems like a bad idea. Also, I just ignore everyone. Sometimes intentionally, most often because I forget.
Conflict between Tails and the trolls expanding gradually outwards into
Is that an
a
actual troll
massive
too?
war, drawing in fictional characters from several different universes,
Daffy
all
Duck.
with their own motives, philosophies, factions.
I'm sorry, is that Darth Kermit? Like, I'm sorry, there's only a few reasons you ever have someone in this kind of dark black hoodie. They're either a Darth something or other, or they're a Kingdom Hearts villain, but they don't have nearly enough X's and chains on them, so probably not the second one.
Relationships and backstories that were so weirdly
Well, like
well
Coyote and-
developed. There was even
What,
shonen-esque
What?
battle mechanics. The battles themselves, despite the artwork being genuinely
Is that
tense
Sonic
and exciting, to the
Luigi,
point that
or-
people began to wonder if Tails Gets Trolled was itself a massive troll. One page
Partially?
could see the genuinely devastating dissolution of Sonic and Amy's relationship. The next would see Knuckles getting stoned in a jacuzzi with Spyro the Dragon.
What?
It's insane, but the more I look...
Okay, so zombie mascots. And it's actually the chicken from freaking... They brought the Family Guy chicken in? Like, everything else is like some cartoon thing at Family Guy. Granted, that one probably has the most fighting experience, but still.
into it, the more I started to feel like there was a genuine earnestness to this story.
They were just getting
Take a
better,
look
it
at
seems like.
Laserbot's DeviantArt gallery, and you'll see he's not a stranger to online harassment. And I think the heart of this story comes from how he uses that experience. There's even points in the comic when he addresses people's criticisms of him directly, and at one point, his DeviantArt account was even hacked, and he wrote that into the storyline as well, making Tails Gets Trolled this weird, fascinating meta-narrative of what it is to be hated by strangers, and what is the best way to combat that hate. What I think makes Tails Gets Trolled work is it's someone exploring their own personal issues through the universe of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Granted, I think the unforgivable part was the dialogue that just rambled. But then again, I'm an English major. That kind of makes a little more sense. Because I look at that and it's not secondhand cringe. It's actual cringe because I definitely haven't done that. I have no manuscripts that I haven't published because they have those sections. And I'm definitely not empathizing with that at all. Let's move on before I think too much about this.
And that's actually pretty common in fan media, but
Yep.
especially in Sonic. Just look at the sheer abundance of Sonic original characters, or OCs. Sonic
Isn't that just Sonic in a wig? And Tails with a fur job? I honestly can't tell.
OCs have their roots way back in even the sprite rip days, when
Damn.
people would modify existing sprites to create their own characters, or
Yeah, joke's on
redraw
you, White
frames
Sonic became a
of the
thing.
Sonic
It's a
X
power-up.
TV show to do the same thing.
Damn.
Sonic fan characters became so rampant online, it even became a popular meme on message boards and later Twitter
What?
to Google your name the Hedgehog and post the results. And I think the reason this meme took off is because it gave people
I'm about to do something I know I will regret. Apparently I can't spell. Not a surprise. And, oh, that's... The fuck? Dodged a bullet on that one.
A glimpse at the sheer shocking volume and depth of the Sonic fandom.
Damn!
There are thousands of these characters, and I have a theory as to why that
I mean, some of them are really well drawn, too.
A lot of these fan characters come with in-depth bios, listing even small details like their favorite bands and movies. And these bios would lead me to believe that most of these characters are made by young teenagers. People who maybe fell in love with the Sonic universe at an early age, but as they got older, could feel themselves aging out of it. Sonic is a property primarily aimed at kids.
Yep.
And so they create their own characters that in their eyes are edgier and more mature in order to fit in with their own perceptions of themselves as young adults while still enjoying the safe escapism of the Sonic universe they loved as children. Like Tails Gets Trolled, I think these fan characters are people trying to understand their own
Amy with
identity.
Sonic's head and colors?
And like everything on the internet, including myself, became the subject of vicious ridicule. But
original character don't steal. I'm sorry. Why is that? Did people actually post their own fan characters and said original character don't steal, even though it's literally just based on a game? So it's not an original character, it's a fan character?
as the Your Name the Hedgehog meme spread, people began to notice other stranger sub-communities in the Sonic fandom.
Ah, we're getting to this part. Yeah, you have to be aware of this part of the community if you are ever online, because it will surprise you. Never when you go looking for it, but always when you're just randomly doing something with family in the room. Every time it's an innocuous search and suddenly, there's Sonic. There's less of Sonic being showed, and also someone, I'm not saying that happened, because I would never admit to that publicly, and I'm going to keep to that.
Weirdly patriotic Sonic, Christian Sonic, but the one that really shocked people was the strange world of Sonic the Hedgehog pornography.
Whoa,
yeah.
Whoa. Hold on there a minute, Past John.
Okay, also Past John, is that a spider or something? Like, I'm sorry, I know it's not a spider, but I keep thinking it's a spider and I'm staring at it. What the hell, man?
Turns out that YouTube does not like it when you talk about Sonic the Hedgehog porn. Who knew? So I'm gonna edit that part out, at least for the minute. The general idea was that, yes, there is a lot of adult-orientated Sonic fan material out there, but here's the thing. There is adult-orientated fan material of every fictional property
R34 is a
can
thing.
think of. And I think what it boils down to is just fans getting older and trying to figure out what they're into through the fictional universes they love, trying to better understand themselves. And really, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But that said, it did become a pretty infamous sticking point online. Let's go back to the original video. Oh, and no one's allowed comments on how I look like shit in this video. I've been quarantining for 5 weeks and I am depressed.
The reason Sonic porn became...
Oh, yeah, this is 3 years ago. This would have been just in 2022. Oh. And, I mean, for me, quarantining was the entire total of I literally do the exact same thing I normally do. Play video games, go to work, and stay at home. The one time where not having a life was an advantage. I wasn't expecting a reminder of that right now.
Became so infamous when so much other erotic fan-made media goes undiscussed is because people were looking for it. Sonic and his fan base already had a bizarre perception online, and the discovery of an erotic subculture only added to that narrative. People now creating media in response to that new, more perverse identity. But it was no longer just about Sonic. It was now about the people who loved him, which brings us to Sonic Dreams Collection. Sonic Dreams Collection is a free downloadable...
Oh my god, this is just an entire text drop?
game.
I'm not going to
for
read it, no.
Kids. Presented as a lost Sonic title, it's a collection of
think I've actually
4
heard of this.
mini-games, each of which comments on the Sonic fanbase in its own way. A strange, broken character creator in which you design your own Sonic OC, a bizarre first-person movie maker following your OC throughout their life as the scenarios grow increasingly bizarre and fetishistic. This game is a nightmare, but the high points, if that's what you want to call it, comes in the form of My Roommate Sonic, where the player from first person is instructed through a mobile phone to carry out an increasingly intimate set of actions in order to seduce Sonic, culminating in the player looking deep into his eyes.
The ring's going everywhere? What does it say on there? I don't, this is, this is the stuff he was okay with leaving in by YouTube standards. How much did he have to cut? Oh, never mind. I've seen the internet before. Probably a lot.
Deep into his eyes, only for the pupils to converge, opening up a black hole in which the player is absorbed into an alternate reality where they now become a grotesque version of Sonic. Sonic Dreams Collection takes a horrifying glee in its disturbing dissection of the Sonic fanbase.
You know, saying dissection when it looks like he's on a table about to be vivisected. Classy.
But it was that disturbing quality that made it a popular
Markiplier play this?
title among streamers,
Yeah, of course he
which
did.
exposed the game to millions and millions of people, further
I just got it too.
distorting.
Oh, I just realized what that last one was. I did not need to see. It just, somehow the low polygon count, the fact that it's not as detailed as it could be or not as pixelated as it could be, makes it worse. It's like in that uncanny valley level where you're kind of like, oh yeah, this is like the style of animation I'm used to in the 2000s. It's like when things just started kicking off, but they weren't quite there yet, and it just looks worse because of it.
And corrupting the image of Sonic and his fans. Online, it now felt like the once lovable Hedgehog had been replaced by something darker and more insidious.
Yeah,
And by the
this is
mid-2010s,
nuts.
To a lot of people, the idea of just being a Sonic fan
Oh god, the arm and the leg.
carried some uncomfortable implications. The year is 2015.
Joy.
You lean against the wall of a crowded train cart as a muffled version of Adele's Hello creeps between its passengers.
I don't think I've actually heard
When
that song.
Suddenly, you notice next to you, my god, it's Jake. Sure, his hair is shorter now, and it's strange to see him in a suit, but it's him. Jake, you cry, your eyes meeting for the first time in 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, things had gotten a little complicated between you two the last time you'd met, but it's still so good to see him. And as your mind tupples back through your memories together, searching for something, anything to say, you stammer out the words, Have you played Sonic Generations? It's pretty good. And an emotion flashes across his face
Rage?
you don't
Depression?
quite recognize. And as the train slows to a stop,
He leaves?
he glances down at his briefcase, pausing before mumbling, "No, I don't play those games anymore." And he steps off the train and out of your life forever.
Oh, that's just depressing. I've actually heard people do that entire, I don't do this kind of thing anymore. Mostly from my wife about him. He's like, oh, I don't watch anime anymore. Because she thought, and this is actually funny, people would judge her for liking anime. And I'm just sitting here going like, wait, you know what anime is? Cool. Yeah, she did not realize how geeky I was at first, which is weird because apparently I hide that well. Yeah. But I've actually heard that exact phrase. It's funny as hell to me. I hope she doesn't mind me telling anyone that. If not, I'm in trouble. And if this video suddenly has a cut right here, we'll know why. Well, I will. No one else will. Ever. Hopefully that doesn't become an issue. I did not think this through.
And in that moment, amidst the crowded carriage, you've never felt more alone. By this point, the different layers of what Sonic had become on the internet had compounded. The fall in quality of his games, the strange distorted fanworks, the OCs, the porn, it all combined into this twisted amalgamation which gave rise to Sonic. Sonic was inspired by a meme in which different artists drew distorted versions of Sonic running. And from that primordial soup of misshapen hedgehogs, Sonic emerged. A perfect twisted encapsulation of what...
I'm sorry, what? It's so horrible, but so well done to look so horrible. People with actual skill are doing horrible, horrible things.
Of what the internet had done to Sonic. People even taking Sonic media and replacing Sonic with Sonic in lurid parodies of how far the iconic Hedgehog had fallen. There's one video from this period called Sonic vs. Sonic, a recording of a fan game where Sonic is chased and hunted by Sonic, as a gargled, nightmarish version of the Green Hill Zone theme plays whenever he draws closer. The video has nearly 10 million views, and I think that's partially due to how nightmarishly comical it is.
What?
But I think it also
there's more.
The plight of modern Sonic, a character struggling against a twisted parody of itself. There's a short film from this period called The Hedgehog.
Of course there's a short film! Sorry, I'm just thinking of the last time he showed a short film on one of the video, and if you can think of the Garfield I'm talking about, if it wasn't fucked up, he wouldn't be talking about it. So I'm assuming this is going to be painful.
And I love this movie. It's about growing up to become the things that seemed so strange and evil as a child. But I think it also really captures the tragedy of Sonic. As a young boy dressed as the iconic Hedgehog wanders a lonely, desolate world. Sonic had become lost, his identity forgotten, nowhere left for him to go. And so when the Sonic movie trailer emerged and unveiled the grotesque new design, it felt like a kind of nightmarish poetry. Even for Sega itself, Sonic now resembled a twisted, uncanny version of what he had once been.
I mean, Robotnik could have carried the movie, but it would have been a lot harder to deal with it. Sorry, I forgot how bad this was, even from the last time I watched this video, because I was blocking a lot of this, man. It is bad. It looks like a guy with a Sonic costume head stuck on him.
His relevance slipping into a sad, strange obscurity. Or so it seemed.
What?
But then on November 12th, 2019, it was announced that the redesign of the Sonic character was being led by Tyson Hess. The little memeing shitlord of Sonic's Big Fat Adventure was now the series' savior.
I'm sorry, that was... But... The guy who made it less creepy is one of the Hallmark guys who made it more creepy. They are silencing of the lambs, or Silence of the Lambsing this. They're basically going to Hannibal Lecter's like, we have a problem that only you can deal with. And it worked? If he makes a parody of his own stuff in a really grotesque way, does that count as fixing it? An AU? Or just an original source material that he just decided not to fix?
The new design not being met with disgust, but elation. People were
overjoyed
with Sonic's
just the big eyes.
appearance. And not only that, Hess had actually gotten the job from animation work he'd done on Sonic Mania, a game directed by Christian Taxman Whitehead and other members of the Sonic fan game community, that went on to be Sonic's best regarded title in nearly 2 decades.
Dude.
And Evan Stanley, author of the Ghosts of the Future fan comic, went on to illustrate for the official IDW Sonic comic, which is...
So it's not even a one-time thing. They just keep bringing in the fan creators into official works?
actually
Wow.
pretty fucking great. The reason all this is so important is because for all the missteps Sega have made with Sonic over the years, it's their willingness to embrace their own fan culture that's arguably resurrected.
Wait, this is an actual official one from Sonic? BRB DMCA time. Just kidding. Keep making great stuff, Sonic fans. See, So this isn't a case of the company not being aware of what their properties having happen on the internet, but them just ignoring the stuff that's not acceptable to touch on publicly and flat out engaging with everything else when they have the chance. That is amazing. I'm sorry. I'm used to going from the Nintendo aspect, which I've been told doesn't own Sonic. They just happen to publish a lot of Sonic games through a Sega as an independent publisher instead of a game creator or a competitor. But this is so weird. Game companies, from what I've seen, mostly from dealing with Sony, are like, no, mine, deal with it. And then Disney and also Nintendo, especially Nintendo. Oh God, so much Nintendo. And then you just, it's like, hey, you know this beloved fan tradition, like a Smash Brothers tournament? Fuck you. This is the exact opposite, and them actually flat out leaving a comment saying it's great. I mean, it's probably from a media handler, but still. And then they hired people from the genre too. And those were American comics. So this would have been either the American branch getting permission from the Japanese branch, because that's where a lot of things are located now. But you'd say Sega was technically founded in America, then moved to Japan. This is such a weird corporate structure in the sense that it's actually working. I gotta move on, but this is actually blowing my mind a bit. What the
Sonic
hell?
As a mainstream pop culture juggernaut. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie going on to make $100
Still need
million
to see it.
at the box
And the second
office,
one.
surpassing even Nintendo's Detective
And that
Pikachu.
one.
I think fandoms reflect the very best and very worst of what
I thought that was my
PC
mouse for a
media
second.
is. And Sonic is now a character that exists in 1,000 different forms over countless different media. And yeah, while sometimes they can be strange and disturbing,
Yeah.
these are the people who love Sonic and are now drawing his comics,
Whoa.
programming his games, and designing his movies, bringing life back to the once fallen character. And I think that's fucking awesome.
What was that from?
I think that is the bizarre modern reality of Sonic the Hedgehog.
This is oddly
Friends,
wholesome and
thank you
uplifting.
so much for watching this video.
Okay, I was not expecting this. This is Super Eyepatch Wolf. I've seen a few of his videos by now, and they're all some form of mentally taxing. It's like if you took the entire Cthulhu mythos, shoved into someone's head, and said, write a story or a script, and you get whatever comes out of his very, very weird mind. And honestly, I love the stuff he does. But his entire channel, from what I've seen, is just, here's something fucked up. Let's find out why. Here, though, here's something that was cool, became fucked up, and then it kind of became good again, and it's uplifting. This is actually a success story. It's positive. It acknowledged the incredibly fucked up shit and went into it, but that was actually such a small part of the overall narrative that Super Eyepatch Wolf was telling that it kind of just shows this wasn't a deep dive into the fandom and how the internet really screwed around with it, but more, here is what happened with it, and the internet was involved. I mean, I was taking that as, okay, yeah, we're about to get to the really effed up shit, and maybe we'll touch on the new stuff. But no. It was all leading up to the new stuff, and it made sense, and it was dragging people back in. I think that's still the part that breaks my mind. Active engagement with the fan creator community as a source of a talent pool. I mean, it makes sense, but most places don't do that because, one, a lot of the places in these are in Japan, and Japanese companies are notoriously ignorant to anything outside Japan, other than to maybe DCMA something. And two, because most companies don't think to hire fan creators because, like, well, we could do that, but they're not well known enough, and they'll just go for something tried and true and potentially badly written because marketing says so. But also because the people in charge don't usually have that same level of engagement. That would almost make me think the people in charge of Sega, at least during this time period right now, are also the fans who grew up with Sega, which shouldn't be a crazy thing to say, except it is. honestly, I kind of wish he did a deeper dive into just how Sega itself is running. Not just Sonic, but Sega at this point. Because it seems like something went really right there that a lot of other people haven't figured out. Also, if Super Eyepatch Wolf did do a deep dive into Sega itself, I would love that. And please let me know. I would love that down in the comments. Maybe just let me know if it comes out, if it's not already out. I just want to know what the hell he would take on that, because it seems like there's a lot more to the story just on that end on itself. And I kind of want to know. I wasn't expecting this to be nearly so cool. I was expecting fucked up. But this is a nice surprise. A pleasant one, definitely. Either way, if there's a specific video from Super Eyepatch Wolf you want me to check out next, let me know. I might just pick one at random because I just like going through all his stuff, and there's a lot of weird shit, man, but he covers it in really interesting ways. It's why I want to do this. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.